Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Hello my friends, welcome to another oddly specific romance recommendation. Now, this is one I'm always unsure whether to put it under taboo or oddly specific, and when I double checked my backlist, because I have made this video once before, this is a part 2, because it's been over 2 years since I made it, and I feel like this particular topic, which I am being a little vague about right now because it's very early on in the video and I can't start dropping all of the risque stuff right at the front, but if you clicked on this, you'll know what it means. But I feel like this has gotten more popular lately for particularly some contemporary authors to put in. It now isn't only saved for dark romance, though I do have plenty of those on here as well. I do have some more regular and even more lighthearted contemporaries on this list. Whereas I think the last time it was pretty much like monster and dark romance where there's piercings and stuff happening. And so, yeah, and also this time I'm going to do, the reason why I titled this one, Pierced Privates instead of just, I think I did, what did I call it last time? I mean, like, Pierced Hero, Pierced Pecker, I've called it before, or, Heroes with Hardware, I think is what I listed it, is what that video is called, which of course will be tagged up here. But I think I called it Heroes with Hardware to kind of get around, and we'll see what I have to call this one. Maybe I'll have to call this one like Private Hardware. I don't know what we'll call it. I don't know what, but if you clicked on this, you probably have an idea of what I'm talking about. We're talking about piercings down under, as it were, okay? So this is a video that I actually do have quite a few recommendations for it because we're going to talk a bit about what they are, okay? Because with them being more popular now, there are different types of the piercings that will get mentioned. And I believe in the first video, I did not rewatch the first video, I just always look at them to see in the description which videos I talked about, which it's another tip for you out there if you're doing that. Not only do I list all the books I talk about so people can easily go click on them on Amazon if they choose to buy them through Amazon, which helps out the channel when you use my links down below, but it also makes it easy for myself when I'm referencing back in time to when I've made 3 or 4 of the same type of trope. I can go and see which videos I talked about. Okay, there's an alarm going off. Okay, now it stopped. Also, it got really dark in here. It's a rainy, cozy day today, and I'm all about it, but I missed the small sliver of getting more natural light. So sorry if I'm a little bit washed out in this one and everything, but I still need to film, and I want to film. So yeah, and one other thing before we get into it, sorry. I know I got distracted by the alarm, but I don't want to forget. This video was almost unanimously sponsored by my channel memberships for this month. I think I did forget in June because June was just crazy. It flew by so fast and I was gone a whole bunch and I had to pre-film most of my content in June. So usually I have more time to do polls for my channel memberships, but thank you so much to my channel members who are on the tiers where they can vote for this. And I gave them 3 options, and as of when I checked it last, it was almost, there was only like 1 person who didn't vote for pierced privates and everything. So I know this is something people are curious about too, and it isn't just me, right? What, you know, authors wouldn't be putting it in as many books, and again, in a more casual sense as well, right? So we're going to be focusing on piercings for down below, though a few of these books that I'll mention, the characters have piercings in other places too, so I'll tell you that because I'm already going to talk about it. But example, like some of the ladies have nipple piercings as well, and I'll mention that if they do. But we will do a teeny tiny bit of an anatomy lesson, though you will have to look up some of these words yourself because I'm not going to put images on or anything that could get the video it. I'm going to use a very clinical language, but if you don't need to hear that, you don't need to know what those things are, you can skip ahead to the recs. But when I do each rec, I'm going to tell you what type of piercing it is. So if you already know the names of stuff or you pull up a little map on your phone, you can just skip ahead to those, okay? But I'm going to explain them for people who are brand new because that's what we do here. It's a little bit of education as well as recommendations, as well as I always said, kind of taking the stigma out of certain things. And by talking about them and explaining them, it takes a lot of that out of it, right? So we'll actually start with the female ones real quickly here, because I do obviously have less of those. Those ones are brought up less, I feel like, than male piercings, because as with most things in romance, they're usually done for female pleasure, right? And that's who's reading it, is for female pleasure, right? And so it's usually the guys who have something pierced, right? But with women, there are actually way more piercing options than I thought, which, I mean, I know that, but it's always interesting to me when I look it up. So the one, though, that we're going to see most, and is pretty much all the recs that I have, is the VCH or the HCH, which means the horizontal clitoral hood or the vertical clitoral hood. So again, not going to be showing things or doing any of that, but those are the ones most common for the ladies. But there are also labia piercings, and you can have either to the minora or the majora, and you can do them individually or do them in pairings. Often if you just get like one to one side, I was looking this up, if you get one to one side, it's like called the Princess Diana. There's also a Princess, oh, we'll get to that one. Sorry. There's more. I was skipping ahead because that one's funny. Then there is the Christina or the Venus piercing. And this is a vertical one at the top of the vulva. So, you know, like going layers deep, as it were, there. Then there is a fourchette piercing, which is near the perineum. So that's on the other side, right? On the other end of things here. There is, I also missed the triangle piercing, which is usually a like hook here, or like a loop is usually what that one is. And then there was another one I looked up here. Let's see. Those are basically the different places, and then some of them did have different names too, that's right. But the main ones are the VCH, the HCH, Triangle, Princess Diana, Christina, and then the Princess Albertina, sorry, which is a vertical piercing through the urethra, right? So that's why it's called a Prince Albertina, because on a male, the piercing through the urethra is the Prince Albert, right? Which lots of the heroes will have. So with the heroines, those are the ones, like I said, most of them are either like the VCH or the HCH. That's the one that will be mentioned, that at least in the books that I have, those are the ones that are talked about if it's mentioned at all. Sometimes you'll find they don't even explain it, right? It's like the author just said, oh, something's pierced, right? But then one of the heroines we'll talk about, she has other places down there pierced as well that we'll talk about. So that is for the females. Now for the males, you may be, or male anatomy, you may be a bit more familiar with these. But there's still some that, you know, I'm always surprised when I look these up. So some of these have some names that I did not know, as always. And when I was looking these up, because like I said, this time around, I did go through, because I always make notes in my reading notes, like if there's a pierce or tattoos on heroes, like because I know I make videos about those things sometimes, but I don't always put notes about what type it is. And sometimes authors don't say what type it is. But if you go and read the passage, like around the piercing, depending on if it says there is like, you know, 2 balls, or if it's a hoop, or if there's 4 balls, or if it is on the shaft or the head, like then you can kind of get an idea of what it is. And sometimes they will literally just say what it is, right? And then that's helpful because then I know. But I did go back and some of these read the details on the piercing so that I could make a note if it was possible to. So for this one, again, you might want to look up a thing, but there's pretty much anyway. So there is what the apodravya, which is the APADRAVYA, which is pierced through the glands vertically from the top to the bottom, and this is on like the very like head of it going straight through. There is the ampulang, which is pierced through the glands horizontally from left to right or vice versa. So if you get it, there's like the top to bottom or the left or right on the very tip. There's a deep shaft piercing, which is pierced down the shaft towards the base of the penis. And that can be, like they didn't say that on this list, but that type of piercing can be the one that like turns into a Jacob's ladder, is if you have multiple of those deep shaft piercings. They can either have one at any point, or you can have multiples, which one of our heroes today does have a Jacob's ladder. There is the Dido's or the King's Crown. So this is pierced through the ridge vertically at the head. And so this one is actually like, the way to describe this one is like just through a piece of skin. It's not going like down into the muscle or anything. It'd be like, let's say, think of it like an eyebrow one, right? So it goes like all the way through, but that's on like the ridge of the, anyway, you get it? You get it? You can look them up. Okay. There is the frenum, which I feel like that one's mentioned a lot. That's pierced behind the glands, just beneath the shaft, or the many horizontal rows at the bottom of the shaft. So this, I guess, is, maybe that's also maybe that's the one that's the Jacob ladder. Maybe it is. Sorry. They don't have a Jacob's ladder on the one that I'm looking at. So I was just inferring what type it was, but maybe it's that one. There's the lorum, which is pierced on the underside at the base near the scrotum. There is the magic cross. So the way that I describe this one, they describe it much more complicated, but to me, the magic cross is kind of like, if you mix like the amplang and the apidarva, right? Like, so there's 4 balls because it goes all the way through. So the way that they explain this is it's pierced 2-3 times through the glands, typically with 2 barbells that cross each other, and there's 4 beads. And quite a few of, I think 2 or 3 of my recs have the magic cross. The Prince Albert, I always said, this is going through the urethra opening, and then it's coming out somewhere. And that's just a regular one. So that's just like, you know, you have, it's like going through this. This is the one you hear a lot of people say. Now, there are different types of this, though. There's a reverse Prince Albert, and that is where the Julier enters through the urethra and comes out. So that means like it's on the top. The Prince Albert goes down and the reverse is coming up. And then there's one that is called, which I was just looking this one up because someone has it. This one is a, hold on, let me find it. Because the first, one of the first ones I'm going to mention has this. So, and then there's one that's called the Deep Shaft Reverse Prince Albert. Okay, so that enters through the urethra and exits at the top of the shaft, but further down. So it's like, instead of just going through, let's say, like just the top of the loop, it's going through further down. So it takes up more of the head of it, has that. So those are the 3 types of Prince Albert. There's the standard, which goes through the urethra and exits. There's one that enters through the urethra and exits out the top. So it's either the top or the bottom of the head. And then one that it still enters through and exits at the top but further up. So anyway, those are the ones that are like directly on the penis. Then there are ones that are other places, right? So there's the pubic, so pierce through any area at the base. There's a few, I don't think I have one this time, but there's a few of the ones I've read that's one that will rub against the clit, where a lot of the ones inside will rub against the G-spot. That one, when you're fully inserted, that one rubs out there, which apparently quite pleasurable. There's also the Hafada or scrotal, so that's placed anywhere on the scrotum. There is also the perineum, which is pierced through horizontally underneath there, or a foreskin pierced through an uncircumcised foreskin. Wow, that sounds painful. So those are a bunch of different ones, and a few of those are going to show up in our recs, okay? So that's enough of the anatomy lesson there, but I just wanted to say that because I just wanted to put that out there of the names of these. And again, feel free to look that up yourself. There'll be nice little piercing maps that come up and you can see a little visual of all that and everything. But that'll help make sense for some of these, because I was surprised at the amount of different types that I found. Like, I feel like Prince Albert or Jacob's Ladder are the ones that people always mention if they're mentioning them in one, and like the Prince Albert's for the super like badass dudes, and the other ones are just like a Prince Albert or whatever. But yeah, those are the different ones there. And now we're gonna go through these recs, and like I said, I'm kind of gonna focus on just briefly telling about the story, because you're here to know if it has the piercings or not, right? So, okie doke, we will start, and I have both the F and M's like mixed in through my list. So we'll just go down the list now that we mention them. So the first one up I have is Just This Once by Lena Hendricks. And in this one, I did have to pull it. This one is Whip and Emily, and this one is a Jacob's Ladder, which is why I wanted to find out how to explain that one. And like I said, that's multiples going on either the top or the bottom of the shaft there, multiple ones. And this book here is I think this started off the King series, so this is a great one to start with. I was really excited for this one when it began, because the Kings had been kind of like our enemies in the previous series, and now we get theirs. And some of them are a bit more bad boys, and so, you know, there's lots of butting heads between these two families and everything. And yeah, this one is Emily and Whip. They have a one-night stand. She's in town for a part-time teaching job, and she's actually the chief's daughter. So Whip is a firefighter. And this one's great because Lena Hendricks does not hide the ball in this one, pun intended, because in the description it says, cocky, pierced firefighters are perfect for late-night rom-coms, but in real life they're nothing but trouble. So she told you right up front that that's what you get, but he does have a Jacob's Ladder. And so, yeah, they have this one-night stand, and then he finds out who she is, and he is like, feels betrayed by her, like he thinks he was kind of tricked by her. So there's some manufactured like angst with that, where it's like, y'all knew it was both random for you guys. Oh, that's right. This is the one where they don't fully have a one-night stand. Okay. See, this is why I pulled up some of my reviews. They're about to have a one-night stand. And I think he like goes to get the condom maybe, and she sees a picture that he's a firefighter. And so then she knows, this is one of my dad's men, and so she leaves. So that's a bit why he's angry, is because it's some of that like foiled desire that he had for her, and then to find out that she's someone he absolutely can't have, he gets a little angry about it, right? So there's that. But anyway, I really enjoyed this one. And yeah, there's some bad boys in this series, because yeah, he has a Jacob's Ladder. Then the next one is Just Between Us, and that's the tattoo artist who also has like a OnlyFans type thing. So that series was really fun. But yes, Whip has the Jacob's Ladder. It's also a great start to the series. That's a great one. She writes some really fun small town romance and everything. Okay, next up we have God of Fury. This I'll just quick mention because, oh my goodness, you know, we know how much I love this book. Like, that's just what I mean. This is an romance, and this one is between Nikolai and Brandon, and Brandon is a bit older than Nikolai. Like, I think he's 19 and Brandon's 23, which isn't a ton, but like, you know, that's a decent age gap when you're that young, right? You know, because it's always that thing is like, if you shifted it down when they're 16 and 20, people would be weirded out, but they're 19 and 23. And in this one, Nikolai has a magic cross. This is one of the ones I had to look up, and I had to read into what it is. Nikolai is also kind of he doesn't really label himself. He explains it that like he's attracted to anything warm and willing. He's a bit of a playboy at the beginning. And what is fun in this one, I know some people wrote kind of mean reviews about this part, but I think it really showed the type of personality Nikolai has. He's a bit of a feral golden retriever is how I explain him. And like, Brandon is kind of the black cat, broody version of like in the right? He's like the black cat to the golden retriever, but they're both little bit unhinged in their own ways. But Nikolai has a nickname for his penis, so there's that. And he explains, when he's explaining it, he's like, I know everyone was just obsessed with the great work that the magic cross on my dick does, or whatever. And so that is how that's explained here. But this romance is honestly so moving. This is one of my favorite books of 2023 at this point. Is that when I read that? I think it was 2023. I just think that this book really cracked something open in Rena Kent for me. And I mean, I think for herself too, because she hadn't written an MM before, and now she's written another one, and she has another one coming. And I just think she's done such a good job with this one. But yeah, so this one we have that magic cross on Nikolai. Okay, now we have our first female piercing. And this one is The Redemption by Nikki Sloan, which I enjoyed this book so much. I actually reread this one in last year for one of my patrons, and I was so excited to read this one when I did, and I'd forgotten some of the absolutely juicy tidbits for this. So McAllister was kind of the villain in the first 3 books. He was the father. He was a bit too obsessed with his son's arranged bride, and things got a little bit intense between them. But at the beginning of this book, which you can read as a standalone if you don't want to read the messy trilogy that was Filthy Rich Americans, that's totally fine. That is a just absolutely wild series, and I didn't particularly love the couple, but I love the series, and I loved McAllister. So when Nikki Sloan, who in my opinion kind of between her and Katie Robert pioneered the ex-boyfriend's dad trope, I don't know if you were here when that time was happening, but it definitely was a movement type of thing, okay? Because Katie Robert had the, what was it? Romancing your, I literally can't remember. It's behind me, but way down there, so I won't get it. But this book came out that was one of her taboo treats that Katie Robert was writing. And it's so funny because what was considered even taboo just then is so funny. They're just all rampantly over the place now. But Nikki Sloan, when she created McAllister, she never meant to write his book, from what she's told us. But everyone was obsessed with McAllister, and a lot of people were like, I know he's bad, but you've written Villain Gets the Girl before. Why can't he have her? Well, she introduced us to another character instead, who I do think is a better match for McAllister, because she really stands up to him even more so than the heroine in the other ones did. And we have Sophia, who is actually hired to be kind of like his PR guy, and to help get his life back on track, because he did just spend 5 years. How long was he in jail? Shoot, now I don't remember. He did do some time in kind of a white collar jail for a while for some of the events that happened, and now he's back, and he wants to get on good terms with his sons, and he wants to get his business back on track. And so this PR person is going to help him, and it's Sophia, and she's supposed to help clean up his image and get him on track, and she can't help but be wildly attracted to him. And so she ends up actually living at his house to be there for any events he might have to do at a moment's notice. I don't know. It's kind of a weak thing for me, but we don't care. And she really is attracted to him. And there's just these mind games the two of them play together. And when he discovers her, she has a VCH, so she has a vertical clitoral hood. And he is obsessed with it, because he is a bit more proper, even though he's a bad, but he is, older, and he's a bit more proper, and he just has not seen a woman who did that. And it's also kind of funny because McAllister isn't the playboy that anyone thinks he was. He was with his wife for a very long time, and then he was obsessed with, I think Meyers was her name, but, it's not that he isn't a sexual dominant being, but he just wasn't promiscuous, let's just say, right? But anyway, so she has that, and this one has the lightest of daddy kink in it as well. She mostly calls him daddy to egg him into doing something until he'll kind of punish her. So this one has very light daddy kink, but confused on that. Okay, time to move along though. with some of these. So next there is Undeniably Infatuated by Jay Shaman, and this one is book 3 in Boston's Irresistible Billionaires, which is, I did start with the beginning of this series, and it was my first Jay Shaman, and now I've read all 6 that are out so far, and they've all been very sweet, but still a little bit spicy, hit a lot of the tropes that we're used to seeing and everything. And this one, I believe, is, let me find this one here. I know this one is a pop star, and this one is little brother's ex-girlfriend and childhood sweetheart. So that's what this couple is. And the way this one starts out is they have a vacation fling, where she like hides out on his boat. She's a pop star. She hides out on his boat, and then it turns out he was going to use his boat. And so instead of kicking her off, he lets her stay, and they end up having a fling, and then they go their separate ways, and she hasn't seen him in 2 years. And then when they come back into each other's lives, which I was just reminded of this because I just read a book that is about Tinsley's friends. Like, Tinsley is kind of fake dating a co-star in a movie. So she's a pop star turned like actress, and she's fake dating her co-star to give them both some, you know, relief from people trying to hook them up with people. And in the most recent release, we get that hero's romance, the one that she was fake dating. But anyway, so 2 years later, they're back around each other, and they just are really trying to grapple with everything they went through in those 10 days that they stayed together. And they're trying to decide if they can make a go of it between the two of them, and like if it's going to be okay for them to be together when she had dated his little brother. And I believe in my notes about this one, I said I was a little bit annoyed about how some of the people were acting, because like she hadn't been with his brother in a long time. She's fake dating someone, you know, like she's dating someone else for all that the brother knows. But, you know, I get it. It's, you know, when your ex who you truly loved and cared about is now dating your brother, it's awkward. It's awkward. But he has a... this is the guy who has a deep shaft reverse Prince Albert. So that is the one why I wanted to explain the differences. So this one also has a little bit of Dom energy going on. Each of the books in this series has a little bit of something kinky. Nothing over the top, usually just maybe a like hold me down, dirty talk. I know there's a couple of anal scenes, like in the series as a whole. So it's nothing too wild. It's mostly a really lovable contemporary series. Okay, next up, we have Don't Forget Me Tomorrow. And this one is book 2. Let me show you the beautiful undercover here. Let's be real. We want to see the sexy cover of these two. Yes. This one is a single mom. I believe this one is brother's best friend. This is the Time River series, book 2. And in this one we have a single mom. She owns a small like cafe or coffee shop in town. I think it might be the cafe. And it's her brother's best friend who he's kind of like protecting her, and also gives like her and her little boy a place to stay. And then he's like, oh, I'm no good for you. I'm the bad boy. I gotta stay away from you. And it doesn't work. They fall in love. His just says he has a ball at the tip, so I'm assuming that it is possibly a Prince Albert, but this one, it's not really explained. But this one's really sweet. Just look how sexy these are. Like, oh, she always slays it with her covers. I love Amy's books. They're just so great. And I've been so blessed to get book boxes for most of these, which is great. So yeah, that is another one where there is a piercing there. Like I said, we got to keep moving. I got a lot to talk about in this. Oh my gosh. Will you go back on where you're supposed to go? Okay. All right, then we have Butcher and Blackbird, and this is the one that I had to look this one up because it's been a long, long time since I've read this one. But I'm sure a lot of you know what this one is about. This is about 2 serial killers who hunt serial killers and fall in love, and it is very kinky. It is have a lot of trigger warnings, but it's also a tiny bit humorous at the same time, right? So it's not a horrible one here. So in this one, the heroine who's the heroine in this one? Sloan, she is the one that I said she has other types of piercing. So she has the clit hood, where is she at? No, she has the triangle piercing, and then she also has matching outer labia piercings, right? So she has like the hoop through the clit hood, and then she has matching labia piercing. So she's got a bit more jewelry down there. That one always kind of like baffles me, the labia piercings. I just don't quite understand, but you know what? If you love it, rock it, right? No shade there. So anyway, that is in this one. Then I have discovered apparently that Mila Finelli likes the piercings, because I was looking up for, I knew Mafia Virgin had one, because we'll talk about it more in a minute, but Mafia Virgin, the girl is actually super obsessed with his piercing because she just can't believe he has one, and she's like, I just want to explore it. And so he's like, go for it. And so she's asking all these questions about it, and he's like, I've never had someone be so obsessed with it before. They just want to feel it. And she's like, it's fascinating. So that, I remembered that pretty clearly, that one had it. But then when I was looking up, I wanted to find at least one more female piercing to share, Mafia Madman came up. And I did not remember that. It has been a long time since I read that. So we'll actually start, because Mafia Madman is book 3. So I'll show that one. This one, I talk about this one a lot. This one is Gia and Enzo. He kidnaps her to get revenge against her sister and her sister's husband, who is, you know, that couple is Francesca and Fausto. And he kidnaps Gia, who is working in fashion, and she doesn't have any bodyguards in Milan. She's just there working, which he was like, I can't believe this girl's just fallen into my lap. And so he kidnaps her and takes her to his boat, and he's going to use her to make her family suffer the way that he has suffered. And he like literally locks her in a cell, like without any clothes on. And she's like, fuck this. I am not going to show any fear. You're the one who put me in here without clothes. So she like starts doing yoga in the corner, and like, I just love her. She does not back down. Bit stupid at times to not, you know, read the room, but also she's like, whatever, you're going to do what you're going to do. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be compliant, which I do love. And she has a clit hood. She has a clit hood. So he's very like shook by this when he sees it, and is just obsessed, which I love. I love the moment of surprise for a piercing. Like the example, I should have said this when I talked about redemption. The redemption is he discovers the piercing because he's rubbing her off like through her clothes. Sorry, I went back to this. And he puts his hand in and is like, what is this, right? Because again, he's never come across that. He hasn't been with tons of women, and his wife obviously didn't have that. And she then explains it, and he's like, I need to see it right now. Like, it's fabulous. So anyway, that also kind of happens in this one, where I think it's, like I said, because she is, you know, she's naked in the room, and eventually gets seen when she's practically stretching and putting her hoo-ha out there. She's like, I'm not going to stay huddled in the corner. I'm going to do my yoga and stay limber. I'm going to be ready to run as soon as you open the door. And like, I wish I could be that unself-conscious. I mean, granted, if I looked like Gia, it might be a bit easier, but I don't know. I think anyone can be made vulnerable by taking their clothes. That's why he took her clothes. Okay, then we have Mafia Virgin. And this one is about the other sister, Emma. And Emma, it says like she's the good sister, the rule follower, and she's kind of been left to do the marriage of convenience because her older sister ended up marrying Fausto instead of marrying the man she was supposed to, even though like Fausto's the one who arranged that. And then Gia ended up getting kidnapped by Enzo, and she ends up with him. So Emma's the only one left to like do this marriage, and all she wants to do is like live her life, right? And so she gets paired with Giacomo, and he wants nothing to do with this, but they are supposed to make a baby as soon as they can, and to prevent war between their families, basically. And yeah, he has which piercing does he have? I wrote it down. He has an put the thing away. Google, you're such a prude. You know, type in penis piercings and it won't show me my search history. You're a prude, Google. I'm not trying to hide that I'm looking up pierced penises. I have nothing to hide. Okay, I have nothing to hide. Okay, so the Apodravya is the one that is like through the tip from top to bottom. And that is the one that it sounds like it's explained that he has. Okay, but yeah, so these two are supposed to make a baby and they're like reluctant to give in to what the people want them to do, but they do also like are attracted to each other. So they're like fighting their attraction, but also want to give in. Okay, next up quickly here, I'll go through Soul of a Witch by Harley LaRue. And the reason why I say quickly is like this one is book 3 in the series, though I will say in my previous video, if I'm correct, I did talk about the earlier ones in the series because piercings is like a big part of the series, right? Like this is like a demon and witch romance or demon and human like the romances, and one of the ways there's like showing ownership is by like piercing their partner. So yeah, there's one that I think he pierces the heroine's nipples in book 1 I've talked about. I think so. But in this one, the heroine is a bit like they switch like this. There's so many kinks in this one. I can't list them all for you right now. This book comes up a lot when I do oddly specific kinks. He actually likes being dominated by her, but he's not one that like, I need you to like really boss me around. He just likes when she expresses what she wants and gets a little bossy. And so she wants to finally show her ownership. And so she's, there's a special piercing made out of dragon glass, like the ball that screws on is made out of dragon glass. And she's like, I want to show my ownership over the most important part of you. The part that like, it's pretty romantic in the kinky way, right? She's like, I want to show ownership over your dick, basically. And so she gives him a, I think she gives him a Prince Albert is kind of how it sounds like it's explained what they give. Now, a few things with this one though, of course, not great for a random person to be doing it. These are supernatural beings. He's going to like heal immediately from these. He also has piercings kind of already all over. And so it's actually a surprise he doesn't have any on his dick yet. And so he's more than thrilled. And again, this is a monster. She's worried about being like, you know, sanitary. And he's like, I can't get an infection. You literally can't hurt me. So he's literally like fighting an orgasm while she pierces him. Okay. That's Harley LaRue. She's going to be a little spicy like that for you. But honestly, it's one of those, what I love about certain types of kinky romances is how there's such heightened emotions with that an act of pain can be erotic to them because it's about like, I'm letting you do this to me. This is us showing oneness. And that's what that one feels like, even though it's definitely wild. It's definitely wild. Okay, then there's Stolen Chances. This one is an MMF, small town romance, a little bit of suspense. And in this one, there is some BDSM that happens in it and everything. And so in this one, Sammy, one of the guys, I think he's the one that's younger. I don't know, but Sammy and Colton are best friends, I believe. And then, yeah, she's a single mom. Anyway, they all end up together. It's an MMF. They all love each other. And Sammy has a Prince Albert. So when they ask him to strip for them, because they're both kind of going to dominate him, I think this one has pegging in it too, because I think the girl pegs one of the guys while she gets fucked, which is one of my favorite things ever. And when he takes off his pants, the dude's like, you have a Prince Albert? And he's like, hell yeah, I do. And they're all very excited about it. So there's that one. Okay, then we have that. My book's over there. We have Taming the Heart. And in this one, I checked every mention of the piercing in my ebook, and it wouldn't explain what type it was. So I am not sure what type of piercing he has. She wants to feel it against her G-spot, so I'm assuming it's one on the tip. And, but I'm not sure whether it's a cross or whether it's a Prince Albert. I'm unclear, but this one has it. This one is the most recent release from Elliot Rose. It's book 3 in the Crimson Ridge series. And this one is the hero who, he runs a ranch, and our heroine, who's friends with one of the gals in this town or whatever, she gets called in to do the social media. Now, he is married. However, he's basically been blackmailed into being married. He hasn't been intimate with his partner in a very long time because she's a cheater, and he just wants out of the marriage, but she has blackmailed him into it. So just warning you though, this is like, if that will bother you, they are married. But truly, she is such a bitch. Like, you literally don't care. The way Elliot Rose described this one, he's pierced and she's found her new favorite toy. So you can guess how much she likes the fact that her man has some hardware just for her that hits all the right places. Okay, so yeah, not fully sure what type that one is, but it's mentioned a lot. Like, they do stuff with that piercing. It's great. Okay, then I have one more that's female, and then I have 2 more male ones for you. Like I said, I'm going through these kind of quick because I had a lot of recs for it. So, Dark Horse by Maggie Rodden, we have a hood piercing here. And this is another one where when he discovers it, he just goes feral for it. And he's really trying to not give in to his feelings for her, but when he finds out, sorry, I should explain this. He was her guardian for like about 6 months when her brother died. He was best friends with her brother, and so he was her guardian for those last 6 months. Now I think it's 8 years later. Are we? I don't know. They're both fully adults, but he is older than her, and he was at one point her guardian, and so he also doesn't want to dishonor her brother's memory and all this stuff. But when he finds out that to make extra money, she is basically doing like an OnlyFans, he is like, no. That is, I'm not letting you do that. If you want to make money from your body, you're going to make it with me. So he basically becomes her one and only customer. So take that for what you will. But yes, she is pierced, and when he plays with it a lot, she ends up squirting quite a bit. There is a very hot scene where they're just supposed to be messing around, and he puts her over his lap and is like playing with her piercing and makes her squirt, and then when he gets up, he's wet all over his jeans. And so to cover it up, she just throws beer on his crotch to make it look like he spilled beer. That's a great scene. Okay, there is Sin With Me by Brooke Montgomery. This is the 5th and final book in the Sugarland Creek series. Of course, you can read them as standalones. This is one I probably wouldn't read as a standalone, but I'm bringing it up nonetheless. This is a brother's ex-girlfriend. But the one before this one was actually sister's ex-boyfriend, right? So the two guys here are twin brothers, and there's a lot about their relationship. This book does have a lot of mental health and suicidal ideation that gets handled with, but the hero's definitely past that part of his life, but we do reflect on it at certain times. But anyway, his brother had dated this woman for a while, and then their lives both had a lot of hard stuff. So they stayed very close friends, and her younger sister did riding lessons at the, the arena that is at Sugarland Creek. And the book before this one is those two falling in love. So that's an age gap, and it's ex-girlfriend's sister or sister's ex-boyfriend, whichever way you want to go. And then this one, they're actually in Vegas for someone's wedding, and these two end up getting married. And they've always secretly liked each other, but while she was dating his brother, he was, of course, never going to do anything about it. But he has a magic cross, and he has a tongue piercing. And I thought I'd bring that up because they get as much use out of his tongue as they do out of his dick. I'm just saying. So we're mentioning it. Okay? All right. And finally, we have His Juliet by Amelia Rossi. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling. Their names are Romeo and Juliet. She just went with it. She is an agoraphobic woman who works at a bookstore, and she's either at the bookstore or she's at her home, and she knows how many steps it is in between, and those are the only places she goes. She's alone in the world, basically, and our hero has to hide out in her bookshop one night, and he keeps her from going to the police. And while they're chatting through the night, while he's keeping her from calling the police on him, they kind of strike up this great relationship. And so now he can't stay away, and he keeps coming back to see her again and again and again. He can't help himself. And they fall for each other. This does end up being also a forced marriage at one point because he wants to protect her. You know how it goes. But this one is explained he has 2 balls near the head. So again, this could be a few of the different piercings. I'm not 100% sure which one, right? It could be the empaling, or I know I'm mispronouncing this, I'm sorry. Or the apodravia. Or it could be the frenium. Like, it could be any of those. It's not explained, but it could be one of those. So that is what Romeo's got going on in his pants. So there we go. I hope this was educational, as well as it gave you some good recommendations. I love doing stuff like this. I love learning things, even, you know, when they feel like a little forbidden to know. I'm like, if people are going into places and getting their junk pierced, like, we can talk about it, right? The actual act of getting it pierced, unless you're Harley LaRue, isn't that sexual. In fact, it is pretty, very much unsexual, is what a lot of people say, and quite horrifying in some aspects as well. Like I said, I can't imagine it. Keep those needles away. Like, I just got my helixes done, as I've shared, and I can't imagine that type of pain and swelling down in my lady bits. Like, no thank you. But I sure don't mind reading about it. But anywho, all right. That is what I have for you today. Thank you again to my channel members for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to support the Book Refuge, please check out my info down below. I haven't had a chance to mention this on a video because everything was pre-filmed before I left, but I am running a summer promotion for my Patreon. If you would like to join at the Swooning For You level, which that gets you into choosing one of the books that I read each month in my exclusive reviews, or the Faithful Followers, which gets you to my month, or my semi-weekly vlogs, kind of. I usually put up 3 vlogs a month, and then also the exclusive review is what comes out. I am running a 25% off deal if you sign up for an annual membership, and that is through the 10th. So if you've thought about supporting me and you'd like to do like a one-time payment, not worry about it, you can check that out. You'll get access to everything that already exists, which is, this point is over, what, 700 posts that I've done. I think I'm up to, I have 122 vlogs on there. I have, I think, almost 50 exclusive reviews. So you're getting a big bang for your buck if you check that out now, and you'll get it for a discount, right? So thank you so much for everyone who supports me and helps keep this going, and you for watching this. Pass this on to someone if you want a fun giggle, or check out my Oddly Specific Recs playlist to find something else you want to read. So thank you so much for watching, friends. I'll see you next time. Bye.